the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Thursday morning. We are glad that you have joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us each and every day here on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. Brett and Faith here with you on a recorded pod this morning. We aren't live, but we are here just like we always are at 8 o'clock, and we will still see your comments roll through. So make sure you interact with us, even though we're not interacting back live real time. Send the comments in. We always go back through and read those, and we appreciate it so very much. Good to see you, Faith.
Good to see you too.
Coaching search central. What can you say? That's going to be the main topic, it feels like, around here for the next several weeks or however long it's going to take John Cohen to decide who this next Auburn head football coach is going to be. Frankly, I'm sick of this, sick of going through this about every 3 years, it seems like. And, if there's ever been more pressure to get something right, it's this time with John Cohen. When you've already made one hire and it didn't work out, now the pressure exponentially goes up. And he doubled down in the press conference a couple of weeks ago. He said, I'm the committee, and I'm going to make the final say. And you and I talked to some people yesterday that we feel like are reliable sources that kind of tell us that, once again, there's a group of people that want one guy, and John Cohen's kind of over here on the other side. And who's going to win out? How's it going to play out? I don't know. But he seems to kind of be his own guy, like he said to all of us in the press conference. Is that going to play out that way? Time will tell.
Yeah, it's definitely something that everyone is talking about in this media world. Things are circulating like they always are. But, to you and I, if he chooses one person, you and I are going to be led to believe that wasn't what we were, hearing in the first place. And I don't know who he's going to pick. I don't know what the whole deal is going to be, but it is going on for the amount of time that we have been talking about it and spending on it, that we don't have the answers that everybody might think.
Right. And neither does anybody else, whether they say they do or not. And I know there's
still happening.
Yeah, there's going to be things happening. Hey, there's some interviews going on right now. And if it's directly, here's something very simple. Are you sitting down and talking directly to some of these guys that are still coaching? Probably not. Are you talking to their agents? Yeah, you are. Who could you be talking to directly? James Franklin, for sure. He don't have a job. He has nowhere to be. He has no responsibilities. He's looking for a job. And people better understand that James Franklin's fully in the mix here. I think people need to know that not that that's a shock to anybody, or not that that's some kind of breaking news here this morning, but I think James Franklin may be in it more than people would think. And you and I kind of went through our list last week. I'll kind of go back through that again this morning. The names that we obviously keep hearing, and it's been the leader out of the gates, John Summerall from Tulane. Generally speaking, when somebody comes out as the leader and it's the first name you hear in a search, usually it doesn't end up being the guy that's chosen. Or at least it isn't when you deal with Auburn. Could it be John Summerall? Yeah, it could. I think there's a lot of the right people that really like John Summerall. The question is it John Cohen's first choice? I don't think it is. I don't know that 100%, but from what we've been told and what we're hearing, I don't think that may be the first choice for John Cohen. And if things hold tried and true, this is what we were talking about prior to Hugh Freeze being fired when we were speculating about what might happen. Would there be a unified force pulling in the same direction for a guy? And it may end up being that way at the end, but it doesn't feel like there is that right now. You feel like people have their different guy in their different courts, and it's almost like a jockeying position to see what's going to win out.
What is John Cohen looking for this time around of a new head coach for this football program?
You know, he had an interview with Mike G the other day. He sat down with Jason Caldwell. I think he's kind of laid it out. And he said it in the press conference too. I think he says what I've said for so many times on this show, that Auburn fans deserve way better. And you got to get a guy that will come in that has all types of different attributes, whether it be a veteran guy, or whether it be what you want to call a up-and-comer, whatever, however you want to say it. But Auburn needs a new energy. And you and I have talked about that. And I've said it multiple times. I'm going to say it about as bluntly as I can say it. I don't mince words. Just Hugh Freeze was just stale bread, man. I like the guy. He was nice. Stale bread. You and I were in a redundant pattern of going to practice just like everybody else was. And I think the players were doing the same thing. I think they were just, okay, it's just another week of doing the same stuff. Practice didn't look any different. There was no energy. I thought it was funny that literally one of the last practices that we went to with Hugh Freeze, when we saw him get everybody together and do something a little different before they left the indoor facility after stretching and warm-ups, and we were all kind of like, and, John Cohen just happened to be at practice that day, and we were all kind of like, is this a little bit of showmanship? Because it came after the Missouri game, right? That wasn't it the Tuesday after the Missouri game that we saw him in there saying be a little bit better, and then they ended up winning the Arkansas game. Isn't that right? I have that right, don't I? Because, yeah, it was Missouri, then Arkansas, then Kentucky. It's just been such a season that I've kind of blocked some of it out. But I think that was the pattern. And it was kind of like, whoa, okay, is he doing this is this a showmanship thing to save his job, that you're changing things, you're trying to do stuff different? And it worked for a game, but Arkansas was so bad. I mean, and they made a change in quarterback, and it was kind of a off the cuff move that Ashton Daniels just came in and said, look, I'm just going to do what I can. It worked. And then you come back the next week with a full week of practice, and you look like a different human being. You look like you have never played football before. And so that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But tired of that, tired of what Brian Harsin was, tired of what Gus Malzahn was toward the end of his tenure. I mean, this is what Auburn's been. And you want to know why Auburn hasn't had a winning season since 2020? It's because of this. It's because of one failed and bad decision after another. And so Auburn's not the only school that has made multiple bad decisions in a row, but this fan base and this school is tired of it and just have to go get a guy that you feel like matches your program and matches the culture. I don't know what the heck that is. I don't have the perfect write-up about that, but you as John Cohen, I don't know why I say Cohen, John Cohen have to get this one right.
Right now, with the way that the world is in college football and how it's changing literally each and every day. It's changing month to month on the rules and regulations and NIL in the past couple of years. What has been something that's a pattern, like you said, since 2020 of not having a winning season? Since 2021, you have NIL and transfer portal. The
Right.
way that the world is changing and evolving in this sports world, that means the coaching ways are changing, the recruiting is changing, your players are changing. Each year, your roster is changing. If you have a coach that's been stuck in the ways of everything pre
Right.
NIL world, pre transfer world, you're not going to be able to succeed in this now today of NIL and transfer portal world that other younger coaches that are the up and comers or coaches that actually have to switch their mentality of this is today and not, oh, I was successful a couple of years ago doing this. It's different in today's world. And that, like you said, an up and coming coach or somebody that is able to adapt their mindset to this.
I think we've had coaches that have had it half right. I think Brian Harsin could coach it up on the field, but he wasn't worth a darn at recruiting and building a roster. I think Hugh Freeze was pretty dang good at assembling a coaching staff that could go out and recruit and build a roster, but he had lost it as a coach. He had refused, just like you said, to evolve and change, and teams had caught up to him, and he didn't make the change, and that's why his offense was so terrible and why it could not produce the way it did in years past. And you're right. I don't think he had a problem handling the transfer portal in the NIL world. I think Hugh Freeze was fine with that. His Achilles heel was his offense was still the same thing he ran at Ole Miss. And you hadn't really done anything to – I had multiple conversations with other people that were at practice with us, and they were like, everybody's caught up to this. It's the same stuff he was running when he was at Ole Miss. And that ended up being the nail in the coffin for him. He didn't make the change. You know, one of the biggest credits to Nick Saban is at his time in Alabama is he evolved and changed multiple times, and he went out and got coaches that fit the current style that you needed to compete. And he changed his personnel and his recruiting style from going from big downhill thumper linebackers to more agile speedster guys that could cover the perimeter because offenses changed. And then he had to change his offensive philosophy because the way he wanted to play football and the way he used to play football and coach football wasn't going to get it done anymore in the way things had evolved. So he had to go out and get a Lane Kiffin, a Steve Sarkisian that had that cutting edge mentality, offensive coordinator wise, and let them do their job. That's what really made Nick Saban such a good coach, is he was able to adapt and change where a lot of guys go, oh, I'm so-and-so. I don't have to change. I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to continue to do what I've always done. To me, that was the biggest thing that was a feather in his cap of everything he did, from recruiting to whatever, success he had on the field, was his ability to adapt and change and go get coaches to fit those styles and go get players to fit those styles.
Yeah, there's no question about it. But also when you've got your athletic director who's also kind of on that half and half thing of let's wait. We need to wait until, August 1st or
Right.
wait for things to come out, be the last one to it. That's also something that you kind of have to take into consideration too, of you got to have somebody that's fully in. And I know it takes learning, and I know this is a learning process because things are happening each and every month that there's also no guidelines. There's a lot of gray areas, but you got to want it just as bad and commit to it the same way you're expecting your coaches to.
So what is realistic for Auburn? John Cohen said, going to go out and do what it takes to get the guy that Auburn wants and Auburn needs. Money-wise, let's look at some of the odds. And these things change day to day, week to week. John Summerall still on this one particular one that we've been watching is minus 150. He is the leader in the clubhouse right now, according to odds makers in Vegas. DJ Durkin comes in at plus 300, and then James Franklin at plus 500, Jeff Brom at Louisville at plus 700, then Kenny Dillingham plus 900. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things. The last 3 times Auburn's hired a coach, they've gone out and hired an offensive-minded guy, right? Gus Malzahn, Brian Harsin, and Hugh Freeze. Everybody that I've heard in favor of Kenny Dillingham and some of those guys are like, well, he was an offensive. His offenses have been great. He's at Oregon. He's been at Auburn. Now he's taking a team at Arizona State to the playoffs and all that. Well, that's all well and good, but does that necessarily mean you're a great head coach? Well, he's proven it at Arizona State. So he's got a little bit in his back pocket. This is not a coordinator that, like Gus Malzahn, went and had a brief stint at Arkansas State and then came to be, a head coach and then, had it figured out for a few years and then for some reason had a brain fart and couldn't figure out why he was going away from the quarterbacks that made him successful and started to try to go recruit guys that didn't fit his style of offense. I don't know who he was listening to or what birds were in his ear chirping, but he had the plan all figured out and then he changed. That was the most confusing thing. Then you got Brian Harsin, who comes in and obviously West Coast minded, Boise, that background, also spent some time in Arkansas State. I mean, there's a pattern here, but then he all of a sudden as a head coach couldn't really figure it out offensively. And then Hugh Freeze was a disaster offensively almost the entire time he was at Auburn. So I hear people talking about that, but that shouldn't be the only reason that you go out and go, hey, we just got to get an offensive-minded guy because it hadn't been working as of late. Now, that shouldn't be a knock on Kenny Dillingham in the same breath because everybody's different. So you got him. You got DJ Durkin, who is on the staff right now, who is the interim head coach, and the people that are in his court are saying, hey, in this world of change and, our roster's pretty dang good. That's one of the biggest assets of our team. We just didn't get the most out of it. But with Hugh Freeze, can we keep as much consistency as possible and just hire DJ Durkin and give him a shot at this thing and let him go out and figure it out if he wants to keep Derek Nix or if he wants to go another route or whatever. There's all these different camps out here. And then if DJ Durkin were not to get the job, how does he feel about staying at Auburn? Does he want to stay at Auburn? He said that in the post-game press conference to us Saturday, and he also said it Monday in Birmingham that he's in this thing for the long haul. What does that mean? Does that mean you're in it for the long haul regardless if you get the head coaching job or not? And then number 2, if you don't get it, it's really up to the guy that's hired whether they want to keep you or not. So there's a lot to digest there.
I mean, yeah, there is. I think you said it perfectly of, when you've got DJ Durkin and what he's done, you obviously see how thinly spread he is, but also the conversation that we were having, I don't even know who we were having it with not too long ago, but the head coach needs to take the full role of being the head coach.
Right.
You had Hugh Freeze who took the role of being the offensive coordinator, play caller type thing. And that didn't work because he wasn't being used for his leadership. He was being used as a specific positions coach. And
Right.
Why would you hire an offensive coordinator if you're not going to use them?
It's been a common problem at Auburn. Even when Kenny Dillingham was at Auburn, when Rhett Lashley was at Auburn. Now, you got to remember all these were Gus Malzahn guys. And so we've had a history of hiring offensive coordinators that you didn't know if you were Philip Montgomery with Hugh Freeze. It just guys that can't turn loose of the reins. And, what is the common denominator in the last 2 years with the wins for Auburn, the rare wins, the Arkansas win, and the Kentucky win. Just the Kentucky game last year, and then of course the Vanderbilt game this year. The common denominator was Hugh Freeze wasn't around, and basically one of the better games Auburn played last year was on the road at Kentucky. We heard from players that he was the reason things were discombobulated all the time, and they actually had a better week because he was out sick and made it up there late and really didn't have a chance to have a lot of input on things. And then the Vanderbilt game this year has been by far the best offensive output. He was the common denominator holding it back. So, from that standpoint, it's hard to say, but obviously offense has been the problem. John Cohen said it in the press conference. He said, if we had just had a mediocre offense, we probably wouldn't be up here today talking about all this, but we didn't. And then Saturday, you saw on display what we all knew was in the arsenal, how explosive these receivers are, how great of a running back Jeremiah Cobb is, that he's now moved up into the top 3 running backs in the league. And it's all been there the whole time, Faith. And that's what's so frustrating. That's why I said a couple of days ago, you'll look back and go, I don't know that Auburn's ever had a more talented team that achieved less, ever. And this is not
cheated of everything.
I do. I mean, I think everybody feels like it's just so. Realistically, do you think DJ Durkin will end up with this job or not?
I say it's a slim chance. I would love to keep him on staff.
I don't think he gets the job at the end of the day. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, and I think he's doing what he's been called to do right now. Again, what happens over the next 2 games could change all that. Again, I'm in the camp of if you beat Alabama, don't put all your eggs into that basket going, oh, he beat Alabama and we just have to hire him, but also don't hold things against him, that may not go great over the next 2 weeks, because these are the cards he's been dealt. So it's not, you just, and I know I've said this a million times, you've got to really dig deeper than the surface of 3 football games that he's an interim to see if you really want him as the head football coach. And again, you and I like Coach Durkin. I think he's a very nice guy. I think he's got a lot of energy. The players obviously like him. So he's checking all those boxes, but ultimately he has to check the John Cohen box.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that ends up playing out. All right, let's hit some partners here on the program. Sensa Green.
Sensa Green for air that's cool and clean this fall during dollar days. Call Sensa Green for major discounts on HVAC repairs and installs plus installation with Professor Greenbacks. Get HVAC smart at sensagreen.com through Thanksgiving with up to $100 off HVAC repairs, $500 off installation work, and $1,500 off new HVAC system. Sensa Green with Carrier, turn to the experts. How cool are these coupons?
By the way, I just have to say your voice much better today.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Much better. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm in Birmingham, Alabama, working with municipalities, boards of education, all types of different institutions. When you're dealing with projects in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, all the way up to multi-million-dollar projects like brand new schools, athletic facilities, indoor facilities, Scout Program Management is the company for you. They will lead the project for you. That's why you hire them. They will take you from the pre-construction phase to the finished product, and they'll make sure your project's done correctly. So don't waste any time and don't waste your money on having to go back and fix a bunch of stuff when you can hire Scout Program Management to come in and do it right out of the gate. I promise you, you'll be glad that you did.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say it to convince people to get over there, but the live music, the food, the golf simulator bays, the happy hour deals. I mean, not just on drinks, but there are certain food deals too. Bunkers is awesome, and it's one of the best places to go in Auburn if you want to go and watch some football, basketball, anything, or just get over there and play some golf. It's getting way too cold outside. They've also got 27 different sports, so if you're bad at golf, you don't just have to play golf.
That's right. You can pick something else to be bad at. All right. The Cart Source, Alabama's premier golf cart superstore. Go say hey to our buddy Harrison. He'll take care of you. I promise. Harrison's a top-notch guy. And they service and have Easy Go Cushman, Yamaha, and Club Car. It's getting close to Christmas time. And I know some of you out there have kids, or maybe you're a kid at heart and want a golf cart. And you want one of these customized golf carts. They'll handle it for you. And the prices are truly unbelievable. I was blown away with how reasonable the prices are. So if you're looking for a golf cart for all different purposes, like some people have hunting land that they get some of these golf carts and they're able to ride around. They're quieter, coming in and out than some of these other side-by-sides. Check out Alabama's premier golf cart superstore, the Cart Source, right there on Highway 280 as you're heading in to Davil, Alabama. So, look, glad to have them on board. We appreciate them so very much. Okay, there'll be plenty more time to talk about coaches. Let's move into basketball. Auburn's got Houston coming up on Sunday. That's going to be the test so far this season. But Auburn been on a heater offensively lately, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice game at home I guess
2 nights. Yep.
2 nights ago, Tuesday night against Wofford.
Right.
Definitely a better game and performance than we've seen in the past 2 games leading up to that. But also, I mean, it's Wofford that you're playing.
But improvement,
Improvement, but also,
Auburn,
I mean, Auburn can't be having the same stats that.
Well, some guys can't be having the same stats. Like, I don't know that it's fair to say Auburn totally having the same stats.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into that. But Auburn now with 90-plus points in 3 straight games. That's the first time since 87, 88. We talked about that yesterday some on the podcast. But, there's a lot of good parts to this. When I pull back up the stats and I look at it, Auburn could have scored more. You and I were talking about the number of players on the roster that it's going to take, that Stephen Pearl said, to make this team a competitive team. You're going to have to go 8, 9 deep a lot of nights. Contributors, not just running 8 or 9 guys out there, but, when you look at it, Elijah Freeman really had a coming out party. He started, had 21 points on 7 of 12 shooting. Keyshawn Hall is going to be this guy every night, Faith. He shot the lights out. He was perfect from behind the arc, 3 of 3. He was perfect at the free throw line. He was 7 of 10 overall. He just is he draws contact. And I was talking to somebody up there where I was. You were on the floor shooting pictures. I was up there in the rafters hanging. And we were talking about he's just a magnet for contact, and that's a good thing. Now, he knows how to take it to the basket, draw the contact, and earn a bunch of trips to the free throw line. And, Auburn's going to have to be more creative offensively this year. And they've got pieces to be able to do that. But they're not going to be as big inside as they have been over the last several years. They don't have Janai Broome. They don't have Dylan Cardinal. So they're going to have to do some other things. They're going to have to figure out other ways to be successful offensively. And they do have longer wing players now, which causes problems for other teams, as long as, like Coach Pearl said, they get out and challenge the shots. Now, if they're playing lazy defense, then you're giving up wide open threes, that's a different deal. He said that good teams play hard for 40 minutes. He said that he thought Auburn played good for 30 of the 40 minutes the other night. And with about 8 minutes to go in the game, he had gotten, I think Wofford had gotten 3 easy baskets in a row, and he called a timeout and pretty much had a HU of the whole team. And he's like, that's what we're trying to instill. You can't afford to take your foot off the gas defensively or offensively with the schedule they have coming up.
I think something too to note is the leadership amongst the guys out there is you don't just have one person facilitating everything going on. You've got 5 guys that consistently expect the best of each person out there and of themselves and want the other person to get better. I texted you at one point and I was like, "Yo, this person's getting chewed out by the other guy,"
Yep.
but it wasn't in a way of
It wasn't demeaning.
right. It wasn't in a way of like, I'm angry with you. It was
Right.
in a way of be better
Yeah.
for the team,
Right.
not just do what's best for you. And with a group that is so new to together and playing together, that's something that you don't really find sometimes in this short amount of time. And I just think that's a big credit to these guys of how well they are able to, you know, talk each other up and hold each other accountable.
And you know what I noticed after you sent that text about this one particular player? He changed.
He did.
He didn't go, he didn't start pouting and get mad that another teammate said something to him about it. You know what he did? He went, he's probably right. I gotta do a little bit better. I gotta keep my eyes down the floor. I gotta be, I can't just take it upon myself every time I'm bringing the ball up the floor that I got to score. So I did notice a change in that. There is a concern, and again, if you want to look at the breakdown, Sebastian Williams-Adams, 4-4 shooting, 8 points. Overton KO had 13. A good night for him, 5 of 10. You and I are high on him. I think Emeka Oporum has been a bright spot in the last couple of weeks. He only had 4 points, but, man, he is more physical than I think a lot of people thought he was going to be at this stage, and he's aggressive. And he's a 7-footer. Now, he's a thin guy, but there's a diamond in the rough that I think is going to get better as the season goes on. And as you see him playing, that's going to be a very key piece for Auburn inside if he can continue to get better and get bigger and do the things that he needs to do to improve. But he gives 110%. He had another couple of blocks the other night. He's a rim protector guy. If he can muscle up and get bigger in there, it's an asset.
Yeah, he's also somebody that looks like they want to learn each and every time they step on and off the court. He seems that he just wants to get better. And again, that's something that you can't coach somebody. That's just their personality. And I saw him talking to coaches and in pregame and stuff, these conversations that he was having. And I really like him. I think he's, like you said, a diamond in the rough, somebody that you just got to keep tugging on a little bit more, and he's going to be thriving out there. And that's a name that you will continue to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the one I was talking about, Todd Pettiford, is the same stat line almost every night here the last 3 games. I mean, he was 4 of 13 the previous 2 games. He was 4 of 17 in this game, 1 of 7 from outside. I don't know what's going on offensively. I know Coach Pearl addressed that in the postgame. He said, look, I'm not worried about Tahad's offense. He said it's going to come. I'm more concerned about him playing the defense that he needs to play to help him kind of spearhead his offense. And he made a comment about he had just made a good defensive play, and then he turned around and hit that 3 to kind of get him off the mat, give him his first points there in the second half. And he said that's what he's trying to relay to him is that, I know your offense is going to come, but I need you to be more concerned about your defensive effort. And if you're doing the right things defensively, then the offense is going to come around. And I truly believe the same thing. I think Tahad's got to keep shooting the basketball, but, man, it's been tough to watch for him the last 3 games for sure.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's definitely kind of one of those things where it's a liability of, gosh, you're going and shooting each time, and
1 of 7 out. And I want to remind everybody, kind of going back to the end of last year, he struggled shooting the basketball from outside coming down the stretch last year. And so I don't know. Obviously, during the summer, he had the combine and the pro day stuff and all, and obviously performed very well. But, sophomore season, a lot of pressure being the guy. I don't know. I mean, I think, and Coach Pearl said it was the last thing he said in the press conference last night. He said, we got to have him. He said, this is not whether we, okay, we'll deal with it if he's not able. No, he's got to come around. He's got to be a guy that can get it done on both sides of the basketball, defensively and offensively. And right now, offensively for him, I mean, he had 5 assists, but so did Keyshawn Hall had 6 assists. From a standpoint of being able to get up and down the floor, I mean, he probably was better at distributing the basketball than anybody else on the team. And so it was good to see Elijah Freeman have the game he had. I think that's very encouraging. He's an NBA player. I mean, from the length, his ability to shoot outside, his ability to get to the basket, he's got all the tools that you want. He's a complete player. So as we move into the weekend, I know we're all anxious to see how Auburn plays Houston. This is a different animal compared to who Auburn's played to this point. Although Auburn did play a Memphis team in Atlanta and beat them pretty handily. This is a different animal. This is the number 2 team in the country in Houston. And, Auburn's had a recent history the last few years with them. Know what to expect. They were a Final Four team. You know what you get with Kelvin Sampson. You're going to get a very physical, very tough defensive-minded team that makes everything hard. So, hey, it's a great test for this team. It's a test that they need early in the season.
Right now, you look at the matchup predictor from ESPN, and Houston's 72.6%. So Auburn, really, you look at it as it being in Birmingham, Auburn having that home court advantage, kind of being so close, and like you said, a hard, difficult Houston team that.
Right. And by the way, they're number 1 in the country now, not number 2. They were 2, now they're number 1. So.
But earlier in the season last year, Auburn saw Houston too, but
right.
I don't think it was this early.
No.
And again, moving parts, moving team kind of just being new and growing together. Definitely going to be an interesting game to
I know they've only played a couple of games. Houston has. When you look at it, they don't score a lot. I mean, they average 70 points a game. And again, it's two games. They've scored 65 and 75 against Towson State and Lehigh. So it's not a real good barometer. But even against those teams, not scoring a lot of points, but only giving up 52. Auburn's given up almost 70 a game. Now, that Bethune-Cookman game didn't help matters much when you look at what Auburn has given up. I mean, they've given up, that 90 spot that they gave up in overtime obviously hurt them, but they gave up 57 to Merrimack and 62 to Wofford. So that really kind of skewed that point thing a little bit, but that's why you have averages. So Auburn does shoot the ball better, field goal percentage-wise at 48%. Houston a little bit worse at 42, but their deal is to make it a slugfest, nasty, punch you in the mouth type game. That's what Houston's mo is, and that's what Kelvin Sampson has put on the floor for forever. So Auburn's going to be tested physically. How are they going to be able to hold up to it? That's going to be interesting to watch.
It's going to be that, and it's also going to be, can we get to halftime? Can we please just get to the end of the game? I have a feeling that's exactly how this game is going to go. And the last thing you want is for these guys all to get gassed by the way that this team is playing, because like you said, it's going to be a more aggressive game than what they've seen in the past, and you're going to be playing against a lot more elite players. How is the endurance of this Auburn team going to be? Are they going to be worn out and tired? Are they going to come out of halftime sluggish?
It's a good question, and you'll find out at 2:00 Sunday. But here's the deal: that when you look at a Houston team that tries to push you around in the physical nature of that, I think when you look at them being ranked number 1, if you're Auburn's players ranked 22, you're going, hey, we ain't supposed to win this game. Let's go show everybody where we are as a team. Everybody's talking about all these unknowns, all this stuff about the chemistry of this team. Well, here's a great opportunity with them coming in your backyard in Birmingham to showcase what you feel like you can do against the number 1 team. How big of a win would that be? Knock off the number 1 team. So great test early in the season for this Auburn team. All right, a few more of our partners here on the program, and then we will get off. Russell Medical Center, voted one of the top 3 hospitals here in the state of Alabama. They are part of the UAB healthcare network, and I don't know that there's a better healthcare network in the world. And I can personally attest to that with things that have gone on with our family and friends, and seen the great things that network does. And Russell Medical Center, part of that, located in Alexander City. You've got big-time medical care and facilities in a small-town environment. You don't have to fight the big city traffic. So make sure you check out Russell Medical Center in Alexander City, one of the top 3 best hospitals here in the state of Alabama.
Oliver Ross, guys, I mean, for the football season and basketball season and wedding season for the winter, you want to have the right bartending service, and Oliver Ross is going to be the professional licensed bartending service that you want. They're going to come in there, be able to set everything up, and then break it all down after. And that's probably the worst part of having to handle all that. And so you don't even have to deal with that with Oliver Ross. They're going to be the ones to do it. 20 people up to 20,000 people. Your holiday work events, they can come and bartend that too. Conventions, whatever it is, call an Oliver Ross.
Appreciate all our partners so very much here on the program. Again, we will be back with you tomorrow. Want to remind everybody, we'll be on location tomorrow at lunch at Lake Martin Pizza. So in Dayville, the Dayville location on 49. So come see us. Hey, the offer always stands at Lake Martin Pizza. The first 5 that come up to us, we'll pay for your lunch. I mean, can we do better than that? I mean,
I couldn't ask.
They took advantage of it in Alex City last time. So come check us out. Lake Martin Pizza tomorrow at lunch. First 5. Now again, when the first 5 come, it's over. So, if you're 6 or 7, I'm sorry. We love you, but we got to have a cutoff somewhere. So come see us at Lake Martin Pizza in Dayville for lunch tomorrow. We'll hook you up if you're one of the first 5 out there. Faith, you got anything else?
I hope everyone has the best day ever.
Absolutely. Go be nice to people, and we will see you tomorrow for more of the Auburn Blitz.